With that, I guess I will introduce Scott Witkoff.
I'm actually just glad all of you showed up.
Oh, me too.
Because, no, I mean, let's be honest, right? After the last election, what the hell do we do now? Right? We knocked on all the doors. We got people out to vote, by and large. But here's a question. Why were more people motivated to turn out for Republicans than for Democrats? Right? We own every issue. Right? Would anybody disagree that the progressive Democrats own every issue? That every issue that we represent is in people's best interests? Labor, right? Education, healthcare, women's health rights, right? The economy, right? What has austerity done to this state and nation? So why do people again and again, why do we struggle? And then every election we go, geez, we just got to knock on more doors. You know, or Mark Pocan's press release when he was named vice chair of the Progressive Caucus in Washington, saying we need to make sure that we communicate the issues better. If people just understood our stand on the issues, we'll win elections. How long have we been saying that? Long time, right? And there's a reason. And to Craig's point, it's not Craig's inability to communicate to people about how important this is, especially for progressives. What's harder is to understand why, when we get into this, why we don't do it. And there's a reason why we don't do it. It's because a lot of us went to school and we paid attention. And we learned things during our lives. And what did we learn about thought? Well, I learned the 17th century view of thought. I think, therefore I am. Right? The Age of Enlightenment. Every one of us learned Enlightenment reason, which means I think, therefore I am. Right? That reason and thought and language fit the world one way. Right? So if I say something to you guys in labor about the economy, you're going to understand it the same way as Scott Walker understands it. That's Enlightenment reason's view of the mind. 100% false. Language is not neutral. Words are not neutral. Words mean things in the context of how they're used and frames. So we're going to talk about that first today. Because you need to understand how your mind works, and how other people's minds work before you can communicate effectively. So that's number one. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the differing views of democracy based on the way people view the world. And there's two. There's conservative and progressive. So you have to understand the different views of democracy in order to communicate your view effectively. Then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to dig into the election, into the governor's race. And based on what you learned in the first half, well, the first part won't be half, it'll be less than half. Give you a look at the gubernatorial campaigns and the critical mistakes that were made in terms of messaging, and how that affected every other race in the state, every other Democratic race in the state. It really gave progressive Dems no shot. And then we're going to have a little participation area where I'm going to ask you what your message would be for the next campaign based on what you've learned, the mistakes made, and see if you can get an idea formulating about what a unifying message is. Because that's what we need. The Republicans have a unifying message. 100%. And they've been working on it for 50 years. Progressives are way behind. And this is not a partisan issue. I talk to Republicans about this all the time, and they get it. And there are things that Republicans are progressive on. Education, the environment, right? I know a lot of Republicans who love to go hunting, and they're progressive on the environment. They're progressive on education, their public schools, which means they can be progressive on other things. So there's hope. There is. There really is. You know, my family.
Money out of politics.
Yeah, my family lives in Brookfield. They're super conservative. My dad still listens to Charlie Sykes every day. But you know what? He agreed with what Barack Obama just did on immigration. Surprise, surprise. He thought it was a good idea. He said, you know what? Then Congress should do something. Is what my dad said.
Wow.
And he said, look, those people are families. And they're in communities. They should pay their taxes to invest in the community just like all of us. They should be able to send their kids to school and have the opportunities we all do. He gets that. That's a progressive point of view that my dad, who listens to Charlie Sykes every day, understands. So there's hope. So we get started. So obviously it's a Saturday morning.